Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. We are continuing our original Dungeons & Dragons solo actual play here. The Fangs of People have made it to the dungeon, and in this first part of the delve, we're going to talk about how I do it, set it up, and get into the action. Okay, the group, the Fangs of People, have reached the dungeon. Having lost one of their members along the way, I've recruited or moved up one of the camp followers into the main party. I'm going to show you the tools I'm going to use here and talk a little bit about what I'm doing, and then we'll get into the dungeon. So, number one, as I mentioned before, I think the treasure map is for a ton of gold that wouldn't make sense for any single lair that a first level party could possibly infiltrate. So what I did was I broke it down into a 3-level dungeon, which they may or may not explore the entire thing. I figured out a primary occupant on those levels, and I gave that occupant their treasure. I basically rolled up their treasure. So I've got ghouls, mummies, and basilisks. Since the treasure type that is equivalent to what would be the map is either dragons or dwarves, I figure this is an ancient dwarven kind of complex that has long been abandoned and thus is occupied now by the undead and perhaps the ruler of it. So like these mummies and stuff might be dwarves, right? Or they were connected with dwarves on some level. Ghouls have overtaken the top level of the dungeon. Below that is going to be a burial complex, and at the very bottom where most of the treasure is, there's actually some basilisks roaming around. Now these basilisks, there's 5 of them. This is going to be deadly. The other thing that I've done is I've made myself, you can see here, here, and here, my own wandering monster list. So when I'm on each level, I'm going to use this so it kind of makes sense with the theme I'm doing. The treasure I'll roll for randomly as they find it, and we'll go from there. But let me show you some of the other tools I'm going to use, and then we'll get to it. Okay, so as far as tracking the party, I've got 2 tools here. This is basically a version of something that came with Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. It allows the DM to kind of track the group. I'm just going to use this as my main sheet. When I have to do things like cross off torches or do any of that kind of stuff, I'll go back to the character records, but this makes it so much easier than having to, have 5 or 6 character records in front of me. This is something that was created a while back based on a conversation that I had on the BX game forum. I've talked about this before. This basically allows me to track torches and wandering monsters and stuff. So these are kind of going to be my logs as I go through the dungeon, and we're going to create the dungeon randomly using the Deck of Many Dungeons. So the way the Deck of Many Dungeons works is I'm going to do it randomly. You have several of these starting areas, that's not a starting area, that are the aces. So we're going to shuffle up the aces to create the starting areas. And then you've got your ending areas, which either have stairs or the treasure, which are our kings. So we'll put these separate as well. And the rest of the deck is various types of rooms and passages. So as I said, I'm going to have, effectively, I'm shuffling it over here on the side. I'm going to have 3 levels with this dungeon. And what we're going to do is whenever a monster is encountered, I'm going to roll on my own monster list. That monster, if that monster has treasure, or it's a room that has treasure, I'll roll on the treasure list I have so that we can have the treasures that should be in this dungeon. If it doesn't end up being enough or something, we'll figure that out as we go. So let's begin. Oh, I guess the other thing I have that I'm going to talk about is, you can't see it because it's off to the side, but I have my iPad over here, and I have the OD&D referee tools open. I've talked about this before. Again, I'll put links to all this various stuff in the description here. It's a great reference if I have to pull up something really quickly as far as like random stuff, I can do that. But otherwise, I'm going to try to roll from the books because that's why we're playing it this way, right? Is so we can actually physically do this. So let me get myself set up and let's make this happen. Okay, so it might be hard to see, but I'm going to keep this sheet off to the side here, and I'm going to build the dungeon kind of in the middle, and we'll kind of move stuff if we need to. So one thing that I'm going to do first is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to look on the back, and I can see my marching order, which is going to be relevant possibly for traps, but also who has a light. I've got character D and character B have lights. One has a torch, one has a lantern. So I'm going to start off, we're going to say we're going to go in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to just put a D right here under torch, and under lantern, I'm going to put, I only have one person with a torch, so I'm not going to worry about, writing small, and I'm going to put a B right here with a lantern. Now, obviously, we know how long torches and stuff last, so we will go through this and check it off. They have 6 torches. Unless something happens, this torch should last them through most of the adventure, plus other people have torches too. So I'm not going to worry about checking them off the character sheets until the end. I'll just tally that up if we use them. Okay, so that being said, I'll move my characters off to the side here. And we're going to primarily, again, use this deck of many dungeons, and we're going to follow what's on here, but we're going to use OD&D rules whenever we come to a room. We're also going to track random monsters, and we're going to have a 1 in 6 chance of a random monster every other turn. So one way I often do this when I'm running a game, which we could actually do right now, is I'm going to just roll for the first bunch here. So I'm going to roll 1, 2, 3 times for the first hour. No random monster, no random monster, no random monster. Second hour, random monster. Okay, so we are going to run into something here. Nope. 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 Third hour. Nope. Keep dropping the die on the ground. Yes, maybe I should have done that. That was a third hour, so no, no, yes. And then I'll do this fourth hour as well. Yes. Ooh, wow, okay. I'm not going to roll what it is yet because it'll matter where they're at. Oh, and also one right here. Okay, so if they stay in the dungeon this long, we can see we have several random encounters that are going to happen no matter what. And we can determine what they are and everything else based on where they are at the time. But at least we have this note up front. I'll often do this while the characters are just the players are kind of talking and stuff. Okay, so again, these are our entrances. I'm just going to shuffle them. We're going to pick one randomly. And we'll go from there. Okay. Cool. Let's see if we can do this so you guys can see. Perfecto. All right, so here's our entrance. And again, this is pretty neat if you want to use it to actually run this whole thing solo and not use other things. It gives you an idea of why they're there, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to deal with any of that. What I am going to do, though, is any door that is closed is going to be stuck because that's OD&D standards. So if they want to go through a door, they're going to have to deal with that. So they come into this room. It's the first turn. We know that there's no random encounter because we've already done that. So they're going to come up, and I am going to spend a turn. I'm going to send the characters around. They're going to listen at the various doors. Now, everybody in the party, or I should say I should point out too, right? Since this character's been promoted, this character down here is a camp follower. If the party doesn't get out before the end of the day, I'm going to roll randomly outside for a random monster, and if one does happen, it's only going to have that one camp follower there. So let's hope they get out of the dungeon. So I've got mostly humans, but I do have an elf and a dwarf. So I have 2 characters that have a 2 in 6 chance. So just because I like to up my odds, I'm going to have both of those characters listen at the door that I think we want to go through, which is this first one. So they're both listening to see if they hear anything. Okay, one of them will hear something if there's something there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw the next card and see what's there. Now, obviously, they don't see it. We're just going to draw it and see. Okay. We know there's no random monster when they go through the door. This is a monster. D6 plus PC level. So actually, if we use this as our option, because again, this is a random monster, not a room, we're not going to use that, then there's no monster there. So they listen, they don't hear anything. The humans, the 4 that remain, 2 will listen at this door. They only have a 1 in 6 chance. Okay, they hear something if there's something on that door. And again, they don't know what's there. We're just listening at this point. Okay, again, it's a hallway, so they're not going to hear anything there. And then at the final door, the 2 humans are going to listen. They also hear something. Well, okay, nice. Cool. Okay, this I'm going to say is, I mean, all of them are going to have hallways because of the way it's set up, but this one basically seems like it's a straight up space. So this actually says that there's a trap there, which we will deal with because I'm going to check for traps, obviously, as we go through doors and stuff. But it doesn't look like there's any kind of a... there's only any kind of monster in there. So we're not going to worry about that right now. We're gonna roll, right? There's no monster automatically. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll as we would do in OD&D. A 1 or a 2 means there's a monster in this room. 6, okay. So there's no monster. They listen. They don't hear anything. I guess I should probably just go through this quickly, just in case you're new to OD&D. The way this works is if we're stalking our dungeon, and I'm just going to stalk it as we go, basically. Okay. As a general rule, there'll be a lot of empty spaces. And what we have here, if we roll the dice for every room in the space not already allocated. 1 or 2 indicates there's a monster. And if you get a monster, then you roll another d6, and if it has 1 through 3, it has treasure. Every room that doesn't have a monster, there's a 1 in 6 chance. So what we're going to do is, maybe in the future I'll roll 2 dice at once, but we'll just do it. We'll do it systematically to start with. So this first room we know there's not a monster there. So even though they heard something, they can't hear anything. But let's see if there's a treasure. There's not. Okay. All right. So which way are they going to go? Like I said, they were planning on going this way. So they listen at all the doors. They don't hear anything. Now, we already know there's no monster in here, so I'm just going to make a little note of that to myself by going like this. I mean, there could be a monster in there. And we're going to send the party straight through this door. Now, 1 turn is elapsed, so we're going into turn 2. We're going to try to push the door open. I'm going to have 2 people do it, because you can only open it on actually up to 3 people can do it. So I'm going to have 3 party members do it, because I don't want to be held up if I can avoid it. And we know there's nothing on the other side, so we're not worried about making noise. 1 or 2 opens the door. Okay, good. I got 1, 2. So the door busts open. They look down the corridor. There's nobody there, obviously, right? Now, in my game, I use the optional rule that an elf automatically sees a secret door on a 1 or a 2 without even looking. So I'm just going to use that. They do not see that secret door. So, and they're not going to look, because they're not going to look for secret doors unless it makes sense for them to look, like in a room with no, like here, they'll check and they'll probably find that one. But so they look, there's a corridor, they're going to move. So in a single turn, they can move. And again, it doesn't take a full, unlike BX, where like it says it takes a full turn to listen, a full turn to open a door. OD&D says use your best judgment. So I'm going to say they could listen at all those doors and open this one, and 1 turn's gone by. So we're still in the 2nd turn. They're going to come up, and I think they can make that full movement easily. We've got, yeah, they can move 120. An armored person can move 120 in a single turn. So they come up here to this, and they're going to come to this next corner. Oh, interesting. Okay. Cool. They see a door up there. 2 doors, actually. Okay, at this corner, their torches probably only go as far as that door, so I'm not going to bother to pull another card yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have 2 characters, the 2 demi-humans. They're going to sneak up to this door, and they're going to listen. So I'm going to roll. Is there a monster in this room? Oh, I mean, do they hear anything? Okay, they got a 2, so they do hear something. If there's a monster there, is there a monster? There is. Okay. All right, so they hear something in there. Now, normally you might say, well, undead make no sound, but I feel like ghouls do, because ghouls are like, you know, they like the Walking Dead kind of zombies. So we are now in turn 2. They've listened at this door. They've moved. They've listened. I think that's probably the full turn. And they hear something in this room. So they know there's something there. They're going to prepare themselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the door. And we know this place is occupied by the undead. I'm just giving that to the party because I am. So, or maybe the cleric senses it, however you want to say it. So we're definitely going to put a cleric front and center with a possible turn undead. So cleric is going to come middle to the door, and then we're going to put, and they're actually, hold on, nope, there's C. The cleric is, hold on, do I not have another cleric? Oh yeah, right here. Yeah, these 3 characters are all armored foot, right? They're basically our best armed characters. They're going to gather around this door. However, they're going to open the door. So the thing is that whoever's opening the door won't necessarily get to attack right away if there's a surprise round, and they're not going to be surprised, so it's not really going to be an issue. They might surprise the undead, but so they're kind of risking their chance of getting surprised is how I'll rule this, by having all 3 open the door. But they also know they're not going to surprise if they can't open it, so all 3 are just going to bust the door open and hope for the best. Okay, yes, the door busts open. Two out of the 3 got it open. So the door flies open, and we're looking in here, and we see ghouls. Well, oh no, we see a monster. Let me just see. I said ghouls don't make sound, but I'm going to go back over here to my list. Again, I've made my list here. I don't want to screw everything up, so I'm not going to, well, I can put it over here, I guess. I'm going to roll to see what the monster is. Probably should have done that first, because, oh, okay, so they don't hear ghouls. They hear, which is centipedes. They open the door and they see centipedes. So there's a lot of centipedes in here. These things are small animals. So we're going to open up here to monster and treasure. small insects and animals. There's going to be 6 to 36 of them in there. So I have a bunch of these duck dice that I got from ONLYCRITS. And we got a ton of centipedes. So we've got 11. So we got 16, 19, 23 centipedes. Now, there's 23 centipedes in here, which, of course, is less than ideal. Probably should move this so I could write it neater so I actually know what it says later. So centipedes are basically like less than a hit die. Basically, if they get hit, they're dead. They are light foot. And I'm going to say that, I'm making a judgment here. They're giant centipedes. They're not going to move that fast. We're going to say they move 6 inches, and they attack as light foot. Okay. So we see a whole bunch of centipedes in here. Let's see. We're going to use our oracle. Now, well, hold on. First of all, before we do that, is there treasure in here? Because if not, we might just close the door. You know what? They open this up, although they do see trunks. They don't know there's no treasure. They see a bunch of centipedes in here. There's a lot. They probably don't want to mess with it. They don't see any treasure immediately. So I think they're just going to close the door and leave that as it is. Because they could throw oil on it, but we're a little early in the space to, I'm going to actually, since I just meted that, let me just do this. If this die is higher, they're going to fight the centipedes and look in the chest. If this die is higher, they're going to close the door. Okay, no, they're going to close the door. Okay. Okay, so they close the door. There's centipedes in that room. That's fine. They are going to now move up to this next door, and when they get up there, their light should sufficiently shine that we can open to another room. Very cool. Okay. They look down, they can see a door, which is good for them because they don't really want, they don't really want to be seen, right? And what they're going to do here is they're going to try to open this door. First, they're going to listen. They got time. Between opening that door, closing the door, coming up and listening, we'll call it one more turn, including opening this door if we're going to do it. Actually, I'm going to send 2 characters to listen to this door too. So the 2 demi-humans listen at this door. They hear something if it's there. The 4 humans listen at the other door. They do not hear anything. So we don't know if there's anything in that room yet. Let's see what's in this room. Is there a monster? No. Is there treasure? No. Okay. So they're going to push the door open. Again, 3 of them. They don't hear anything. Actually, wow, that would be a good character roll. They slam the door open, doesn't open. So now they've made noise. So if this room here has something in it, they're going to be aware of that, but we'll just deal with this first because they're sticking with the first door. I'll try again. Okay, they bust the door open easily this time. And they see in here this small room. It's got a table. It looks like some kind of old, maybe dormitory type space, but it's empty. There's nothing in here. It's all covered in cobwebs and dust. They're thinking, not worth our time right this second. Let's see what's at this door because they know they made sound. And they move up to this door. Again, what's in this room? We don't know because we did not roll a good successful check. But let's see if there's a monster. There is. Okay. What monster is in this room? I'm going to roll on my own list that I have over here. You can see it here. 3. Skeletons. All right, they wouldn't have heard the skeletons anyways. Awesome. Okay. So, let's see if there's treasure. There's not. Okay. So they're going to open this door. And when they do, we're going to see, they didn't hear anything, so there's a chance they're going to be surprised. The skeletons obviously heard them, so the skeletons will not be surprised. So let's see if they could open the door again. The 3 armored foot people try to do it. They busted open, no problem. Are the characters surprised? They are on a 1 or a 2. They are. They smash the door open, having not heard anything, and they look across and skeletons charge them. Because, of course, skeletons will always attack. So let's go to Monster and Treasure. Skeletons are zombies. 3 to 30. Yikes. 3 to 30 is 3d10, so I'll just go like this. 8 to 4 is 12. 8. So there's 20 skeletons in this room. Okay. I marked down they didn't fight the other creatures. All right, 20 skeletons. And skeletons charge forward. Skeletons are going to have the advantage here. You know, skeletons can smush together. I'm going to say up to 4 of them. Maybe, let's say, because I think 3 people can normally fight edge to edge in a hallway in OD&D, generally speaking, with the way they do it. So let's say skeletons are a little skinnier. Let's say 4 of them or 5 can maybe do that. So let's take a look at skeletons. Obviously, they're charging forward because the party's surprised. They're going to get a round of attacks against our very capable, but unfortunately flat-footed front rank. Okay, again, I'm looking in my own chart here. So I have skeletons fighting as Lightfoot. They're half a person, so 2 skeletons equals 1 person. So basically, there's 4 skeletons. That's 2 Lightfoot. We're going to look at Lightfoot against Armored Foot. And you're going to find out that plate mail is very nice. Lightfoot against Armored. 1 die per 3 men. So there's, even with the 4 skeletons here, actually this room worked out very good for the party because since they are smushed here, I'm going to say they can maybe get around next round if the party doesn't back up, which they probably will, to get more skeletons in there. But at this point, only 4 skeletons can move forward. So basically, the skeletons are charging forward. They're incapable of hurting the people in armor. This is why armor is nice. So with that being said, the party is now we're going to go into initiative. So of course, the cleric is going to turn undead, and the 2 fighters in the front are going to hack at the skeletons. They're going to back up a little bit, ensuring that no more skeletons can get through, and we're just going to go from there. I have a feeling that we're going to give a chance each round that additional skeletons can get through because skeletons don't care if they're close to people, right? But for now, we're just going to do it this way. So using the situation as it is, the magic users, of course, are going to back up. The elf and the fighter that are in the back of the party are going to turn around and rear guard. Oh, you know what I should do here? So we're right here. They're going to turn around and rear guard. The magic users are going to stay in the middle to make sure they don't get hit. The cleric's going to turn undead, which would be spellcasting. The 2 fighters are going to attack. Really, no movement needs to happen because all the skeletons are there. So initiative is really not necessary. So the very first thing that happens, so I guess no, movement does matter because the cleric that's going to turn undead can't turn undead in combat. So they're going to have to actually back up. So if they can back up, basically if the party wins initiative, then they're going to be able to get the way they want to get. Otherwise, when the cleric backs up, some skeletons are going to break the line. So party is going to be sparkly, skeleton's going to be duck. Okay, unfortunately, the cleric backs up and more skeletons are able to come in. Let's roll a d6 to see how many. 1. Okay, so there's only 5 skeletons up there now. 5 skeletons pull forward. The cleric moves back. Then we get into the missile fire phase, which nobody's shooting any missiles. So the cleric is now going to attempt to turn undead. To turn undead for a cleric in OD&D, their first level. Luckily, skeletons are pretty easy, but nothing's guaranteed in this world. Oh, that's on it. Okay. Against a skeleton, an acolyte needs a 7. So I'm going to roll 2d6 trying to get a 7. 7 or above means I turn some of these 20 skeletons. 6. Okay. These skeletons are unfazed by the turn undead and continue to battle. Again, all melee is simultaneous. There's still not quite enough skeletons up there to actually cause damage to our guys, but the humans will get to fight back. I have one guy that is using a 2-hander sword, which is Armored Foot, and the other one is using Battle Axe. Okay, so we got Battle Axe and 2-handed sword. Heavy Foot versus Lightfoot, 1 die with 5 or 6 hitting, and remember they're a fighter, so they get +1. So 4 through 6 will hit. Nope. Armored Foot against Lightfoot, and he gets +1, so 3 through 6 will hit. No, God, this party's terrible at fighting. Okay, so now, as we stand, skeletons have moved forward. Let's kind of show what this looks like. Skinny corridor, door that's blown open. The party is like this, the cleric here. Skeletons have moved in. 5 of them are in range. At this point, the party's holding them back, but with not much luck. So we're going to go into the next round of combat. The cleric can no longer turn undead, so they're going to step up to fight. So that's going to give us 3 warriors. And again, they're close enough in melee. It's not really a movement action. But what I am going to do is do the same thing I did before. I'm going to roll a d6 to see how many more of these skeletons can break the line. Because I think up to maybe like 8 skeletons can probably get there realistically. But we'll see. 2 more. All right, so now there are 7 skeletons now in combat with the party. Again, they're all armored foot. The skeletons are only half a hit die, so you're only looking at 3. So they're just going to get 1 roll. But even 1-6 will kill a party member. So we need to take out these skeletons real quick. So here we go. And if they drive these back, by the way, they're going to have to keep fighting to come in, right? There's always only going to be 4 in the front line. 3 additional ones have moved forward. So let's see if they can kill those 3 before the skeletons kill them. Let me roll the skeleton first. Did they kill anybody? No. Okay. The party is rolling. 1 fighter, actually, yeah, 1 fighter needs a 5 or 6 to kill. He kills 1 skeleton, okay? 1 fighter needs, actually it would have been 4 through 6, okay? The cleric needs a 6, unfortunately. Nope. And the other fighter, oops. And the other fighter needs a 3 through 6. Boom. Okay, perfect. So the way I'm going to handle this, by the way, now that I'm looking at this, is I'm going to use this to count the number of skeletons that have broken the rank. They can always have at least 4. We've taken out 2 now. Obviously, I'm still going to mark down how many skeletons die. But that means next round, unless more can break the rank, there's not enough there to even affect the party. There's only 1 more needs to break the rank to do it. But okay, so going into that, nobody else is doing any other combat. We're still in the same turn, by the way, which is turn 4 at this point with all this going on. So let's now go into the next turn. We're just going to do melee back and forth unless something changes. So let's see. The skeletons have enough to... No, they don't. They need to have 6 up there to actually hurt anybody, right? So the skeletons are unable to attack. So cleric, no. Fighter with battle axe, yes. Fighter with two-hander sword, yes. And I'm also going to roll here to see how many skeletons break the line. 2. Okay, so they basically, that stays the same and 2 more skeletons are dead. Okay, going to the next round of combat. Again, there's not enough skeletons to make a difference, so we're going to do the same thing again. Cleric, no. Fighter with battle axe, no. Fighter with two-hander sword, yes, because he's got the heavy foot, the armored foot rather, which is good. Because how many skeletons can break the line? 1. Okay, so the skeletons are still unable to do anything. They're basically holding the line at this point as we go into the next round of combat. Cleric, yes. Cleric takes 1 out. Fighter with battle axe, no. Fighter with two-hander sword, no. Okay, well, finally the cleric did something. How many of them break the line? 1. Okay, so at this point, they're actually doing really well. And we're just going to keep going back and forth like this. Next round. Wish I had different colored dice for each character. I'll have to do that in the future. Skeleton. It's not enough to attack. Let's see how many break the line, though. Oh, this could be problematic. 6 skeletons break the line. I'm going to say 10 is the most that can be there. So that's just to make my life easy. But 10 skeletons, actually, yeah, it won't make a difference anyways. 10 skeletons are there. So next round, they're going to be able to attack unless the party does really well here. Okay, cleric, no. Battle axe, yes. Two-hander, yes. Okay, 2 more go down, which is still going to allow them to attack, but not going to give them a whole lot. Because remember, the skeletons need basically 6 to make 1 single attack. So skeleton attacks, misses. How many skeletons break the line? 3. Okay, and now we're going to go back into the regular attacks. Cleric, misses. Fighter with battle axe, hits. Fighter with two-hander sword, hits. 2 more skeletons are down, which again leaves them in a position though where they can still make 1 attack. So Does the skeleton hit anybody? No. That got close, though. How many skeletons break the line? 3, which again, the most that can be is that. Cleric, battle axe, two-hander. Ooh, this is bad. Okay. Let's take a look for a second here. We have an equivalent of 5 men. So they can still only make 1 attack, but that's still bad. Skeletons attacking. 6. Ooh, okay. Somebody's potentially going down here. I'm going to say cleric, battle axe, two-hander. Battle axe, okay. So, battle axe is a fighter, and the way this works is because the fighter is because the fighter has 1+1 hit die, they have as what's equivalent of a saving throw. They're going to get to roll 1 die because they're +1, and if they roll a 1, they're not dead. Otherwise, they're out. Nope. Dead. Wow. Fighting 20 skeletons is probably not a good idea, especially when there's no treasure here. Okay, they drop. Now, let me just look at my group. I'm going to have to reform here slightly. Oosh. Really, I have nobody else in heavy enough armor. So these guys are just going to hold the line because they just can't. If they let a light foot person up there, they're going to be dead. So at this point, and again, this guy will still get to attack the battle axe this round because he died at the beginning of the round. And skeletons don't stop, right? So here we go. And they've broken the line. They can't even close the door at this point. So cleric, no. Battle axe guy, did you take somebody out in your last round? You did not. Two-hander. No. Oh, no. Okay, no more skeletons can break the line, but there's enough skeletons to make an attack. So let's see what happens here. The rest of the party is going to back up a little bit. They're getting a little bit nervous, obviously. This is very, very bad. Okay, I'm just going to roll the skeleton first. Does it hit anybody? It does not. Okay. Cleric needs a 6. Misses. Two-hander needs a 3. Kills. Okay, 1 skeleton goes down. They got to get those skeletons below that number. But remember, every round, at least 1 skeleton can come in, so they're in trouble at this point. Every round, they're basically bailing here. It's almost worthwhile to retreat. How fast are skeletons? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to change up our tactics a little bit because they feel like they're in trouble. We've got... Yeah, skeletons are pretty slow. So what we're going to do here is the elf who's in the back is really good with missile weapons, is going to get a flask of oil and try to make a little Molotov action and throw it in the back. Because remember, there's still 10 more skeletons in here. Oh no, they're all in combat. So they can't, every skeleton is in melee. So yeah, basically the party can't do much else. No missile weapons can enter combat. Okay, so does anybody have a spear? Nothing, I don't think. Nope. All right. It's just going to be duking it out and hoping for the best at this point. Wow, this party is, they're feeling it. Okay, do the skeletons kill anybody? Yes. Oh, no. Okay, cleric or fighter? Cleric. Oh, man, cleric goes down. All right, the party's definitely going to have to retreat at this point. Okay, cleric drops. Fighter's up front with that two-handed sword. Well, the cleric still gets to attack. Did he kill anybody in his last round? He did not. Two-hander sword? He did, okay. That's all that's left. There's only 9 skeletons left. And honestly, if they can knock down 4 more skeletons, then the skeletons cannot defeat them. So the party, enraged by this craziness, is going to actually be a little foolish because at this point, I don't think they can get away. So hold on, who had that torch? D had the torch. Oh no, D fell on the ground. Oh, there's a torch on the ground. All right, so our elf, who has a good missile aim, is, like I said, they're going to throw a flask of oil. And I mean, at this rate, there's no way they're missing. So basically, they're going to throw this flask of oil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll to a D6 to see how many of the skeletons get splashed with it. They still have to be lit on fire, but... So D6 skeletons are lit. 6, all right, that's a great shot. Flask of oil flies through the air, smashes over the skeletons. Fighter in the front rank swings at the skeletons and misses. Skeletons swing at that fighter. By the way, if this fighter goes down, they're all screwed. Okay, no. Okay, next round. There's no more skeletons to move forward. 6 of them have been exposed to the oil. Now I'm going to make the elf roll. The elf's going to grab the torch and hurl it. Okay, we treat all hurled weapons as short bow. As far as the numbers, short bow against light foot is 1 die per man, 6 hits. The elf is in short range, so they get 1 extra die, and the elf has a plus to the dex. They're rolling 3 dice. All they need is 1 6, and this could end this combat. Come on, elf. They miss. They throw the torch, it flies into one of these pits, and there's no more lit torches, so they can't do anything this round. The skeletons make an attack at the fighter and miss him. The fighter attacks the skeletons and kills one. Okay. Again, they're lighting a torch. That's going to take this whole second round, so we're going to do 1 more regular round of combat. Skeletons attack fighter, miss. Fighter attacks skeleton, hit. Okay, back to the torch. He's going to try to throw 1 more time. Boom, that's what we needed. 6 of these guys are lit in fire. With 1 remaining, we're not going to worry about it. 6 skeletons go up. Fire starts flaming. They start falling into that bottomless pit, crashing into the depths of the dungeon below. Maybe that goes down to the 3rd level of the dungeon. We don't know at this point because we're looking around, and what we see is 2 of the party members have dropped. They've also used up 2 torches. They light a 3rd torch, and let's see where we're at. Wow, with no treasure, this party is taking a beating. But in no cleric to face the dangers ahead. They're going to take the 2 bodies, and I think they're going to make their way back out. But that's going to take them... Oh, no, they should be able to get out. Yeah, they can get out to the dungeon entrance. So they get to the dungeon entrance, and they're going to leave. So we're going to leave this day as a sad day in the field. And what we're going to do is I'm going to roll a d6 right now. And if it is a 6, there is an encounter in the fields above overnight. If not, everything is fine, and I guess we'll figure out what they're going to do after that. Everything is fine. They bring the bodies of their compadres to the surface. I'll mark the date off on the calendar. Now, they do bring the bodies up, which means they're going to recover their armor, because we do have a fighter that had no armor, so we're going to basically be able to at least have 1 person in... Yeah, I think so. I think then we're basically down to, while this is a group of magic users, they may actually have to retreat at this point. They're going to be able to put on plate mail with this fighter, but that's what they got. 2 fighters in plate. We'll see if they want to delve again. Basically, they're not going to be able to go back to town. The patron has put a bunch of money into them to get this map. If they don't get back with at least a couple thousand gold pieces, their adventuring lives are probably over. It's a sad day at the end of 28th of January. They've been in the field almost a month. They've lost 3 of their companions, and so far they've got nothing to show for it. So we'll see where this ends.